All right, good morning. We got Samuel. 1 Samuel 15, 16, and 17. Okay. Samuel also said unto Saul, Jehovah sent me to anoint thee king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken unto the voice of the words of Jehovah. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel. Now he lay wait for him in the way, when he came up from Egypt. Now go smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all they have, and spare them not, but slay them both, man and woman, infant and suckling, and ox and sheep and camel and ass. And Saul gathered the people together, and numbered them in Telaim, about 200,000 footmen, and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to the city of Amalek, and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart ye, get down from among the Amalekites, and lest I destroy them. For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou come to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings of the lambs, and all that was good. And they would not utterly destroy them, but everything was vile and refuse, so they destroyed it utterly. Then came the word of Jehovah unto Samuel, saying, It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and hath not performed my commandments, and grieved Samuel. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto Jehovah all night. And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and it is gone about and passed on and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Blessed be thou of Jehovah. I have performed the commandment of Jehovah. And Samuel said, What meaneth then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the low of the oxen which I hear? The bleating of the sheep. Yea, Gail, no, I've been streaming a while. I'm all the way up to 1 Samuel. This is, for this year, it's like day 102 or something. Oh boy. And then, so we read the Bible every day, and I'm reading it chronologically. Yagal Amalai. Yagal Agnol. Agal. Yagal Agal. Was that it? Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, and I will tell thee what Jehovah said to me this night. And he said unto him, Stay on. Okay, wait, hold on. Here's verse 15. So this is 1 Samuel 15, verse 15. And Saul said, They have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and the best of the oxen to sacrifice unto Jehovah thy God, and the rest have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, and I will tell you what Jehovah has said to me this night. And he said unto him, Stay on. And Samuel said, That when thou was a little in thy own sight, was thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel over Jehovah, anointed king over Israel? And Jehovah sent thee on a journey and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of Jehovah, but did fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of Jehovah? And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of Jehovah, and I have gone the way which Jehovah sent me. And I have brought Agag, the king of the Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took the spoil and the sheep and the oxen, the chief of the things which thou should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice on to the Jehovah thy God in Gilgal. And Samuel said, hath Jehovah as great a delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Jehovah? Behold, to obey is better than to sacrifice, and to hearken better than the fat of rams. Okay. Super important verse right there. This is verse 22, 1 Samuel 15. And Samuel said, hath Jehovah as great a delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Jehovah? That's a question. It's a question mark after that. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken better than the fat of rams. Hello, AB Verma. What's up? What's up? So, that's huge right there. What are we doing? He told us not to learn the way of the heathen. So what do? We adopt pagan customs and say, oh, we're going to have a feast unto the Lord. That's exactly what they did with the golden calf. Verse 23, for rebellion is as of the sin of witchcraft. Rebellion is as of the sin of witchcraft. Let me say it again. He tells us in Jeremiah 10 to not learn the way of the heathen, because rebellion is of the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness as iniquity and idolatry. Idolatry is the big no-go, folks. Big no-go. But because thou hast rejected the word of Jehovah, he hath also rejected thee from being king. You rejected the word of Jehovah. That's breaking his 10 commandments, folks. And Saul said unto Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of Jehovah and thy words, and because I feared the people, What will they think of me if I stop coming to Christmas? The week of Easter is an absolute abomination. It's pagan syncretism. Pesach, the Passover, is the 14th day of the month of Abib. You have to determine the month of Abib. Easter is determined off the equinox, which is how the pagans do it. If something came out of Rome, you got to take a magnifying glass and see what the hell they're telling you to do, because it's straight out of hell. And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return for thee, for thou hast rejected the word of Jehovah. And Jehovah hath rejected thee from being king over Israel. And Samuel turned about to go the way, and he laid upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. He rent his clothes. He's going to... Man. And Samuel said unto him, Jehovah hath rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and hath given it to the neighbor of thine, and that is better than thou. And also the strength of Israel shall not lie nor repent, for he is not a man that he should repent. Then he said, I have sinned. Yet honor me now, I pray thee, before the elders of my people, and before Israel, and turn again with me, that I may worship Jehovah thy God. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshiped Jehovah. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me to Agag, the king of the Mechalites. And Agag came to him delicately, and Agag said, surely the bitterness of death is past. And Samuel said, as thy sword hath made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before Jehovah in Gilgal. Samuel don't play. Samuel don't play. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his house in Gilgal of Saul, to Gibeah of Saul. And Samuel came no more to see Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless, Samuel mourned for Saul, and Jehovah repented that he had made Saul king over Israel. The difference between the heart condition of Saul and the heart condition of David. It's crucial. Those few verses there in 1 Samuel 15 are insanely important. And Jehovah said unto Samuel, how long will I mourn for Saul, seeing that I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thy horn with oil and go, I will send thee Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And Jehovah said, take a heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to Jehovah. And call Jesse to sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto him who I name thee. And Samuel did that which Jehovah spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, comest thou peaceably? If Saul shows up, it's a serious thing. And he said, peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto Jehovah. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But Jehovah said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance, nor on his height or his stature, because I have refused him. For Jehovah seeketh not a man seeth. For man looketh on the outward appearance, but Jehovah looketh on the heart. Jehovah looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Ahab and made him pass before Samuel, and he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this. And Jesse had made Shammah to pass, and he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this. And again Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel, and Samuel said unto Jesse, Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, here remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send, fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in, and now he was ruddy, and withal, and beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And Jehovah said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. And Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren, and the Spirit of Jehovah came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of Jehovah departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Jehovah troubled him. When the Spirit departs, was that Matthew? 7 worse spirits will come upon him. And Saul's servant said unto him, behold, now an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is cunning player on the harp. And it shall come to pass that when an evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. And he answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse in Bethlehemite, that is cunning and playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent matters, and comely person, and Jehovah is with him. Therefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, Send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him and loved him greatly and became his armor bearer. And Saul sent Jesse, saying, Let David pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. Now the Philistines gathered before their armies to battle, and were together the spirit of Sholach gathered together at Sholach, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shokoth and Azekah, in Ephraim Damin. And Saul and the men of Israel gathered together, and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out the champion in the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits a span. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and targets of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out from your battle array? I am not a Philistine, and ye, servants to Saul. Choose you a man of you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy armies of Israel, and this day give me a man, and we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard the words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man among men, for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab the firstborn, and next was Adinadab, and the third was Shammah. And David was the youngest of the 3 eldest followed Saul. And David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistines drew near the morning and the evening, and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said unto David, his son, Take now for brethren an ephah and the parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp of thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look thy brethren fair, and take their pledge. Now Saul, when all the men of the valley in Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines, and David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with the keeper, and took and went as Jesse commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to fight, and he shouted for the battle. And Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, and the army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And he talked with them, and behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, they saw the men, and fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel, and to come up, and it shall be that a man who killeth him will be king, and enrich him with great riches, and I will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? And the people answered after him in this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man who killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. For he said, Why camest down hither? With whom hast thou left the few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and thy naughtiness of thy heart, and for thou art down that you mightest see the battle? And David said, What have I done now? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward the other, and spake after the same manner. And the people answered again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine, to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant, keep his father's sheep. And there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went after him, and I smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by the beard, and smote him, and slew him. And the servant slew both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing that he hath defied the armies of the living God. And David said, Moreover, Jehovah hath delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, and he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Go, and Jehovah be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put his helmet of brass on his head, and also armed him with the coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in the shepherd's bag which he had, even in a script. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came and drew near unto David. And the man bare the shield and went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, I am a dog, that thou comest to me with staves. And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of Jehovah of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou's defied. This day Jehovah deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee and take thy head from thee, and I will give the carcass of hosts of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, and all the earth shall know there is a God in Israel. And all the assembly shall know that Jehovah save not with sword and spear, for the battle is Jehovah's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistines arose and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran towards the army to meet the Philistine. But David put his hand in his bag, and hence took a stone, and he slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in his hand of David. Therefore David ran, stood upon the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw the champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and Judah arose, shouted, and pursued the Philistines, until thou come to the valley and the gates of Ekron. And he wounded the Philistines, and they fell down by the way of Sharon, into Gath and into Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put his armor in the tent. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is a youth. And Abner said, As thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire thou, his son is stripling is. Inquire thou whose son the stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul, with the head of the Philistine in his hands. And Saul said to him, Whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse of the Bethlehemite. Wow. The heart of David versus the heart of Saul. We got to see both of their hearts today in three chapters, chapter 15 through 17, the heart of Saul and the heart of David. And we know David makes some big mistakes later on, but he still maintains the heart. That's Psalm 51. Psalm 51. Let not your spirit depart from me, and I will teach transgressors because he knew how bad he did. But that's to come. All right, guys. This was day 100, 102 or something in the Blue Letter Bible app, Bible in a Year, where we get to see the heart of David and the heart of Saul. Praise Yah.